Once upon a time, in a kingdom painted on shimmering parchment and lit from behind like a lantern, there lived two little animation characters. One was a springy jester named Flip. He was drawn in thick black lines, with rubbery arms and a jingly hat that rang whenever he bounced. The other was a glimmering fairy named Luma. She was made of soft light and color, and her wings shimmered with every shade of dawn. They lived in the great story reel of King Aurum, a kindly king whose whole realm was a living cartoon moving across the silver screen of the world. In those days, the people of the kingdom paid for bread and boots and brushes with tiny golden squares called gleams. Gleams were bright as the morning sun and chimed like little bells when they clinked together. For many years, a loaf of bread cost 1 gleam, a pair of boots cost 3, a painted house cost 10. Everyone knew the prices by heart, and though none were very rich, most were comfortable. Every morning, Flip would leap between the frames of the story reel to the market square. He tumbled and juggled painted balls. Luma flew beside him, drawing arcs of light in the air that turned into fluttering birds and laughing flowers. The baker paid them 1 gleam for their show. Then they bought a warm loaf of bread and shared it, as white steam curled up in soft pencil lines. But one day, when Flip bounded over to the baker's stall, something had changed. 2 gleams for a loaf, grumbled the baker. He rubbed away the number on his sign and wrote a new one. The chalk line grew larger than before. 2? Flip's sketched mouth dropped open. Yesterday it was 1. Flour costs more, said the baker. The miller raised his price. He says the grain costs more. He says the farmer raised his price, so I must raise mine or my oven will go cold. Flip's hat bells drooped. Luma fluttered closer, her wings humming with worry. As they walked through the market, they saw it everywhere. Numbers on price signs were stretching and swelling like soap bubbles. 1 gleam became 2, 3 became 5. The numbers puffed up and wobbled as if they might float right off the tags. Yet the coins in people's pouches did not swell. The gleams stayed the same size as always. By midday, the square buzzed with frightened voices. Old Mother Bristleclack waved a broom at the sky. In all my years of being drawn, I've never seen prices climb like ivy up a castle wall. We must find out why this is happening, said Luma. Her light flickered with worry. If the numbers keep growing, no one will be able to buy anything at all. So Flip and Luma went to see the wisest creature in the kingdom, a great mossy dragon named Ledger. Ledger slept coiled around the royal counting house. His scales were the green of old banknotes. His eyes shone like polished abacuses. They found him in his cave of columns and sums, snoring softly. Piles of ledgers lay all around, filled with neat lines of numbers and tiny drawn apples, loaves, and boots. "Master Ledger," said Luma softly, "the prices in the market are swelling like toads. What does it mean?" Ledger opened one long notebook paper eyelid and gave a deep, smoky yawn. His golden teeth clinked like coins. "It means," he rumbled, "that the king has been playing with the Royal Animator's cauldron again." "The cauldron?" asked Flip. "The one that paints new gleams?" "The very same," said the dragon. "For many years, new gleams were only painted when new things were made. When a bridge was built, a field plowed, a song composed, the animator dipped his brush and made just enough gleams to match the new work in the world. But not long ago, the king grew fearful. He saw poor people with thin purses and said, if only there were more money, then everyone would be rich. His advisors whispered of an easy enchantment, so he ordered the animator to stir the cauldron without waiting for bridges or bread or boots. Night after night, gleams have spilled out into the kingdom like fireflies in summer, Ledger went on. But the fields did not grow more wheat. The sheep did not grow more wool. There are many more coins, but no more things to buy. Flip frowned and traced a circle in the dust. So, if there are twice as many gleams, does that make us twice as rich? Ledger chuckled sadly. Imagine there are 10 golden apples and 10 gleams in all the kingdom. Each apple costs 1 gleam. Everyone is content. Now imagine that by magic there are suddenly 20 gleams, but still only 10 apples. People feel richer for their pouches jingle louder, but there are no more apples to buy. So sellers raise the price, 2 gleams for 1 apple. And look, each person can still only buy 1 apple with their share. With a flick of his tail, Ledger made the numbers and apples appear in the air. 10 coins, 10 apples. Then 20 coins, the same 10 apples, and the price numbers floating upward. You see, Luma whispered, the coins have multiplied, but their power has shrunk. This is called inflation, too much money chasing too few things. The numbers stretch and puff and swell, but your dinner stays the same size. Flip's eyes narrowed. If the king's magic is puffing up our prices, we must speak to the king. People are worried and hungry. It will not be easy, warned the dragon. The king's own sense of greatness has begun to inflate as well. Flatterers tell him he has filled the land with wealth. His robe has grown 3 sizes. His crown sits on even higher hair. Take this, he added. Ledger reached into a pile of books and drew out a small crystal abacus. Its beads were clear as raindrops. This is the Glass Abacus. It shows the truth behind numbers. Hold it up and you will see what things are really worth, no matter how large their price tags puff up. Flip tucked the abacus into his hat. Together, he and Luma set off for the palace, leaping from frame to frame along the story reel road. As they neared the castle of King Aurum, they saw signs of the magic. Everywhere, the walls seemed taller than before, with brick numbers drawn over them, crossed out and replaced with larger, redder ones. Banners flapped overhead, "New gleams for all." The letters were so round they nearly tipped off the cloth. They found the Royal Animator in a high tower, bent over a great bubbling cauldron of ink and light. With every stir of his brush, new gleams sprang out, bright and shiny, and flew toward the city with a silvery tinkling. "Master Animator," cried Luma, "please stop. Your cauldron is flooding the kingdom with gleams. Prices are swelling beyond reach." "I only follow the king's command," he answered. "He swore that more money would make everyone happy. And look, so many coins. How could that be wrong?" "Because coins are only tickets to real things," Flip answered. He pulled out the glass abacus and held it between them and the cauldron. Through the crystal beads, the room changed. The gleams no longer glowed gold. They looked pale and paper-thin, drifting like dry leaves. Beyond the tower walls, they saw the market. People's pockets were full of coins, but their baskets were emptier than before. "You see," Luma whispered, "the shine is an illusion. Without more bread and boots and houses, extra money is only paint on air." Just then, the doors swung open. King Aurum strode in. His robe was larger than life, covered with big round gleam embroidery. His crown perched on a tower of hair piled high like whipped cream. "What is this?" he boomed. "Why are my cartoons disturbing the royal enchantments?"
"Your Majesty," bowed Luma in midair, "we came from the market. Bread costs twice what it did. Soon it may cost thrice. The people are afraid." "But I have given them money," said the king, "bags and bags of it. When we pour more gleams into the land, do not their purses jingle sweeter?" "They do," answered Flip. He shook his own little pouch. It jingled merrily. "But now hold this up and look." He placed the glass abacus in the king's hands. Aurum peered through it, and his painted eyes grew wide. Through the crystal he saw Mother Bristleclack turning away from a loaf she could no longer afford. He saw the cobbler counting coins that still would not buy enough leather. He saw the farmer staring at seed grain that now cost more than he could pay. He saw himself, too, larger